is Elton Kane for Finextra at the FinTech Stage Inclusion Forum in Jakarta. And I'm here speaking to Aldi Hayapratomo, CEO of Indonesian company Rumah, which serves rural communities across Java. Rumah has come a long way since starting in 2009 selling prepaid airtime across the communities you serve. Can you tell me a little bit more about this growth journey?
Yeah, so our objective has always been the same. So we want to use the power of community to help low-income households improve their financial well-being, right? And we believe that in order for us to sustain and keep these communities alive and actually help each other is by creating real economic value, right? I think one of the beliefs that we had in the company is that humans were meant to live in small communities of 150 people so they can really know each other and care about each other. So, but in order to create economic value, you got to figure out what is the advantage of a community versus just a regular kind of individualistic type of economy, right? So one advantage is they're sincere. So when we sold Top Up, for example, we did not sell to the person who's on the side of the road. We sold to the person that is the most trusted person in the village, who can give loans, who kind of people know, who trust, and so may not be the most convenient location, but it's actually somebody that you know will help you when you need them, right? And so that sincerity actually ended up enabling us to learn what other products the communities need. Like the example of when somebody was trying to find out, like to cook like a beef curry, right? And they couldn't cook it with aluminum, so they needed to find a special type of pot, like using Teflon and without the metal handles that are expensive, so that we can actually customize it for them. So, and then that enabled us to go into like bras and to like, and eventually not even furniture. And so the essence is that if you can actually find the sincere people in the village and then combine all the communities in Indonesia, for example, you have enough scale that you can get the right products, right? And you can lower the cost to serve. And that has been our thesis from the beginning. And even though it may seem like the company is changing its business, but it's not. It's because the industry sees business as what are you selling? But we see it as who are you serving and how are you serving them?
So it sounds like Rumah is really combining a number of business areas, from education and support through to e-commerce buying club model with financial services thrown in as well. Do you sometimes find it difficult to explain to incumbent industries and regulators what it is Rumah does and is trying to do?
Yeah, very, very much so. I think the fact of the matter is, because of how unique we are regulated by multiple ministries, right? And but I think that's the essence. It's usually the Indonesian kind of regulation of economy is divided into banking, right? Commerce, tech, right? But in essence, when you're in a community, that's not the case. The same person that gives you a loan is the same person that sells you something. Right? It's actually probably the same person that sells you Top Up and teaches you how to use a phone. And that is who we are. And as such, we have had to adopt our kind of company and our business according to that. And I feel like the best partners that we've had understood that and have no intention of trying to do it themselves. They realize their weaknesses and their strengths. For example, like BTPN, when we partnered with them, realized their strength as a bank was the risk mitigation, the ability to meet with regulators, and realized our strength was to be in the field with the communities, and we partnered with them at the time. And I think those are the kind of partners that work really well. Like also for the furniture manufacturers that we work with know that they're very good at exporting furniture and taking specs to export it, but they don't know what kind of furniture the communities need and how to deliver it to them, how to sell it to them. So then they trust us to do that. And because we can't do everything alone, but yet we want to give the customer, who are our members, an integrated experience. I think there's a few, in the US even, there's a few membership models that have been successful, like Costco is one of them. They're heavily more on the commerce side. I would say that we are heavily more on the finance side.
You mentioned in your presentation that at one point you were working with a local bank partner to go out into the field and act as an agent for them opening community bank accounts, but that the regulator got involved and stopped this from proceeding. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of what happened there and what you had to do as a result?
Yeah, so actually we were doing this pilot. The government had issued a pilot license for banks to work with super agents to essentially open bank accounts, right? And we partnered with the bank, BTPN, and yet the pilot actually was very successful in our eyes, at least. We actually had a majority of the market share of the transactions together with BTPN at the time, and people were saving up for education, for many things, right? However, at the end of the pilot, the central bank decided to not allow banks below a certain tier. So only like top 4 banks could do it, which means BTPN was excluded. But also the regulation was very unclear about the participation of super agents. It was leaning towards not having super agents in between the banks. So now what's happening is that the banks are actually having to write their own agreements with the agents and actually do everything themselves. So some banks have been able to do it. Like, I think BTPN has been successful in doing so because that is their market, the bottom of the pyramid, but most banks have had more difficulties in doing so. And as a result, our company decided to exit that because it's very hard for a company like us to do something that is essentially illegal, right, or against regulation. So we actually ended up moving to this model of commerce. So it ended up working out really well for us, and we're very grateful actually that it happened because it made us a stronger company. And I think if it were to open up, actually, we have to decide. We're not sure actually we would go back and do it again.
So for the moment, you're really having in financial services to take the informal financial services arrangements that work in these communities and help enable and document those with a view to sometime in the future moving those into the formal financial services sector.
No, actually, we don't open savings account, but so every community has their own financing mechanism, right? So like you give the loan to your friend, you all save together for something, right? So what we do is we actually create technology that facilitates that and makes it more efficient. Let's say you want to do a savings group. How do you make it so that everybody pays? How do you track payments? So instead of us providing the money, we provide the tools for them to be able to finance each other, right? When the regulation opens up and enables us to actually work with the bank and use the community that we have to give them better access to like financing so that they can leverage whatever they have. Let's say you work with your friends, you lend to your friend, you can lend them $1, but a bank is willing to give you $2 more to lend to your friends, right? So that means that your trust is being extended. That is something that we would like to do in the future, but at the moment that is not yet possible. I think we are working with regulators. Thankfully right now, actually the fintech kind of word is kind of hot, and regulators are much more open to ideas, and I actually believe in a bright future in fintech, especially because the need to reduce inequality is one of the government's ultimate priority. And not only that, increasing tolerance is another priority for the government. And what better way to increase tolerance and kind of care amongst Indonesians than building a stronger community? I think it's like you want to teach somebody something new, right? But if you kind of have them jump over to that new process, they might be scared or afraid or not sure. A lot of people are afraid to go to a bank, right? But if you make it look familiar and smell familiar and with people that they like, right, then it will be less scary.